So the AliExpress 11/11 sale is now over, and I bought a few watches as well. What did I buy? Let's have a look. Hello everyone, welcome back to the VW channel. I hope that you are all safe and well. And before we begin today looking at the watches which I bought from the 11/11 sale, I just want to say a big thank you to you all. So a lot of you guys have been clicking on my links as affiliates to go through to the AliExpress sale and purchase some items. I've seen some really interesting purchases come through. I won't say all of them. However, I've noticed that a few of you guys have picked out watches which I've picked out in the top 10 roundup list, which I will link to at the end of this video. But I've also noticed that some of you guys have gone off script and found some really interesting watches for some different brands. So if you did buy something from the 11/11 sale, please let me know in the comments below. It'll be really interesting to see which ones that you've bought and if I should be able to pick some up as well for review later on down the line. Now, before I talk a bit more about the watches that I bought today, I also want to make you guys aware that I will include more affiliate links to the watches that I've bought in the comments below. However, one thing I do want to add is although the 11/11 sale is over, there is a Black Friday sale coming up on the AliExpress website as well, and they do have super deals which are going on at the moment too, which affects at least one of the watches which I purchased in the 11/11 sale. But enough of me rabbiting on, let me get on with the reviews and I'll show you what I bought. So actually I've just checked the listings of the deals that I have got, and there are 3 of the watches that are actually on sale, and annoyingly a couple of them are actually cheaper than the original price I bought during the 11/11 sale. So there you go, them's the breaks. However, I will say that I still think I got a pretty decent price from all of them, and I was going to pick them up at some point. I think I'm just making myself feel better. Yeah. Let me shut up and let's get on with the with the watches that I bought. So the first watch that I bought in the 11/11 sale was actually the first to arrive as well, and it was a watch that in the roundup I heralded as being probably the best in terms of value for money that you could potentially get on the platform. Of course, it was an Addiesdive. I didn't get the Captain Willard homage again, but I did repurchase the Pilot's watch, the IWC-esque style homage, although it's not technically IWC homages because it's a Pilot's watch, and Pilot's watches are pretty generic. Now, I've been wanting a Pilot style watch again for a while. I bought this watch a couple of years ago and I sold it pretty quickly, having not really sort of seen the value in it. However, after selling it and then looking through the pictures that I'd taken of the watch previously, I did think that I had done a bit of a disservice to the watch and that actually I should really think about buying it again. And that's really down to me, because back then I was more about dive watches and that's really all I wanted, and I wasn't particularly bothered about looking elsewhere, but now I am, and I have much more of an eclectic taste. This watch is absolutely fully loaded with specs. So first of all, sapphire crystal, NH35 movement. The sapphire crystal, by the way, has the blue undercoating that you would AR undercoating that you would have with all Addiesdive watches. It is a very wearable 39mm case, and it has 200 meters of water resistance with a screw down crown, and the lume on this watch is absolutely, I'm going to say it, feckin' insane. For under £100, I mean, this watch was way underneath that anyway. In the sale for me, it was £60. In the super price sale, the super deal's coming up in a few hours time, it looks like it's actually going to be underneath £60. The lume on this watch is insane. It will give any watch a run for its money, and I'm not just talking about any AliExpress watch or any micro brand. I'm talking the likes of Seiko, Rolex, potentially Tudor, or even the Seamaster from Omega. That's how good the lume is on this watch. Obviously it isn't the only thing that you want to take into account when buying a watch, but the fact that this lume is absolutely insane on this watch is just a real tick in the box, and it's such an unexpected pleasure to find a watch like this for so cheap that has an incredible spec sheet, you know, an NH35 and that amount of lume with sapphire crystal well underneath £100 is just fantastic. And this watch would make a perfect everyday beta watch if you're on a budget, but it would also make a fantastic Christmas present as well, or gift, for anyone within that price range, because you're not paying a huge amount for it, and it will definitely show and look as if you've paid a huge amount of money for this watch, considering all the specs that it has. This watch also has a 39mm case. It has a thickness of 12mm, which, given the NH35 and the 200 meters of water resistance, isn't too bad. The bandwidth is 20mm, which makes it a little bit of a strapaholic watch as well. So all of those benefits put in together, along with the other things that I've mentioned before, really do make this watch a great purchase for me personally in the sale. Next on this list, we are going to go over to a brand that is quickly becoming a channel favourite. I have now had two of their watches, one that I bought, one that was sent to me for free for review. This one I paid my own money for. I wanted it that much and I couldn't wait to get my hands on it. This is the Baltany chronograph that I mentioned before in the video, the 39mm Panda style. Now, I got the reverse Panda with this one, so not the cream with the black subdials, but the black with the cream style subdials, and I have to say, again, really impressed. Yeah, so this watch really does speak for itself. This watch again is coming up on the super price sale in a few hours time. It's going to be £115.56, and I think again that's an incredible bargain for the price that you're paying. So the specifications on this watch is 5 bar or 50 meters worth of water resistance, a 39mm case, sapphire crystal again over the top. It's sort of like a bubble style dome sapphire crystal, thickness of 13.1mm. This is a quartz movement, but it is a Seiko VK series quartz movement, which means that it has the sweeping second hand. There is no date on this watch as well, which makes this watch look really good. And the subdials, you have a 24-hour indicator on the right hand side, and then you have a minute tracker, 60-minute tracker on the left hand side. And again, this watch is just simple and it's really well done, and I really like this movement as well. I like the fact that it's simple. You're not really going to be doing much in terms of chronograph timing with it. It doesn't do tenths of seconds or anything like that, but it does have some really useful complications. I'm a big fan of the 24-hour dial on the right side of this watch. The case itself is again 316L stainless steel. Unlike the Addiesdive, this one is all polished, and I thought this would put me off, but actually, because of it being on the leather strap and because of the way that it's designed, I think that having the polishing on this watch makes it look quite nice. Yes, it's going to smudge and it may scuff and leave scratches over time, but it's less likely to do that because it's on the face of the watch that you're looking at, and it's not going to be on the under wrist or anything else that will go against tables or benches or anything that you tend to be sitting on and scuff up the bracelet as you would have, because there is no bracelet here, it is just the case. One more thing to add with this watch as well is, again, as with most Baltany watches, the lume is pretty good on this watch as well. It is a green style because, again, it's going for that vintage look, and I think it suits this watch really well. Baltany, as I've discovered over the last couple of years, are really robust and good watchmakers. They offer incredible value for money, and the fact that in this watch they have a Seiko movement within it again is another known entity, which means that this watch isn't just rugged and reliable, it's also robust as well, and with a quartz movement this is going to be incredibly long lasting. The next watch on this list is actually going back to a watch brand that I used to feature heavily on this channel, but I haven't for a long time, and it is a Pagani, and I've gone for another Pagani design, and this time I thought, do you know what, I'm just going to go as gaudy as I dare and buy a watch that I feel actually looked pretty good. So this Pagani Design is a GMT version, and it is obviously an homage to the Rolex GMT series. Specifically for me, I decided to go for the root beer style, but with the chocolate dial, not the black dial. And the reason why I did that is because I just liked the colours, and I thought I'll give it a bit of a go. Little bit disappointed on this one, if I'm honest with you. It doesn't have the NH34, which the other one has. I think that if they also put the NH34 in this one, like they have with the Batman style, the Coke style, and the Pepsi style bezels that they have, this one would probably sell just as well. However, the reason why I bought this watch is because I've recently discovered, I say recently, over the last year, I've discovered that rose gold actually looks good with me in terms of skin tone and colour. The center links within the Pagani GMT models are all polished, and I'm not a big fan of polished steel, so having it IP coated instead is another way around that. And I also quite like the look of the dial as well. There are a few things I'm not so jazzed about with this watch, but I'll go through the specifications first and tell you a little bit about it. I really think this watch is probably a good holiday watch, one that you can wear and, you know, bash around and not be too worried about it, you know, with what happens. So first of all, it is a 40mm diameter watch, very rare, very wearable, 12.5mm thick, which is good for a GMT watch, 20mm bandwidth on there, so very strapaholic. 10 bar or 100 meters of water resistance as well, sapphire crystal over the top. Obviously no AR coating on this watch, because you are getting as much money as much value for money as possible, and AR coating on a watch like this with a screw link bracelet with a milled clasp is, you know, going to be something that's very difficult. So I'm not sure exactly which GMT movement is on this watch. I think it's the Mingzhu or the Hanju, I'm not sure, but it's a Chinese GMT, which is relatively untested. However, it's not too difficult to operate, and it's not too difficult to get your head around. Honestly, if this watch broke or had a crack in it or didn't last for longer than a year, if you're wearing it constantly, I don't even feel that you'd be shortchanged by it, which is one of the reasons why I've decided to get this watch anyway. So, as it's a GMT watch, I believe on this one you actually have to change the date, you have to put the crown out to the first position and move it clockwise in order to get the date, and then to move it anti-clockwise in order to move the GMT marker, and then you can set the time on the second position as well. Obviously it's a cordless GMT, it won't be a true GMT as a result. Now, this model is also going to be included within the super prices, and that starts at £63.12 up to £73.29. So I think for that money, you are getting a hell of a lot for your watch. You just have to be comfortable with the fact that this watch may not last forever. One thing that I will say about this watch is the bezel is unidirectional. It's not bidirectional. It's obviously just taken from one of their dive style watches, which they have created. It is 120 click, and surprisingly with this watch there's no back play, there's no bounce, and everything does line up pretty well, which again for this watch is pretty good. But there's not much more to say about it really. Pagani Designs, they are what they are. They offer incredible value for money, but it's not something that you'd be overly upset about if this watch breaks. The only bad thing with this watch is obviously it has very poor loom, which is the only thing about this watch really, apart from the unknown movement entity, that I always find disappointing with some Pagani Design models. Last watch on this list, and funnily enough I wasn't actually planning on buying this watch, but there were two things that I saw which changed my mind very quickly, and I was then just deciding to get them as quickly as I possibly could. So I got the San Martin, the Black Bay Pro Homage GMT watch. So actually there were three things that made me decide to get the watch. First of all, the loom on the San Martin is good, so good that I actually want to compare it to my actual Black Bay. Although it's not a GMT, I do want to see how good the loom is on San Martin watches when compared to one of the real things, and because I've got a Black Bay, it just makes it a bit of a no-brainer to do. But the other thing that really attracted me to this watch was the 39mm case and the fact that it's now been upgraded to an NH34 movement. Now, since Seiko came out with the NH34 movement, or the 4R34 movement within their series this year, it has been a real game changer. However, the SSK version that they have with their GMT version, I haven't been so bothered by that one. Not because I don't like the design, but because if I want to get a dive style watch that also is GMT, I want to have things like a screw down crown, and I would like to have sapphire on it as well. So I've been holding out and looking to see what micro brands come out with it and what AliExpress brands also come out with it with the NH34 movement. Obviously, Pagani Design was one of them that released a NH35 movement on some of their Rolex style homage watches, but they also stuck the NH34 in some of the San Martin watches, and that's one of the things that really flipped the script for me in terms of buying this watch. And I have to say, this watch is absolutely incredible for the money. San Martin long have had problems with their logos and with their brand design. I think they've sorted that out now. They're sticking with the hexagonal style logo on both the face of the watch and on the clasp. The NH34 is a really sort of safe bet in terms of a movement. Yes, it's rather new and known quantity, but it's based on the NH35 series, which is rugged, reliable, and incredibly robust. One of the things I like about this watch, yes, it's a cordless GMT, but when you're moving the GMT hand when you're out in the first position, and it's backwards on this one, not forwards. Forwards will change the date, backwards will change the hand. You can actually feel like a click almost when it hits hour markers. It's almost like you're clicking like 1, 2, 3, instead of it being sort of floating and sliding a bit like some of the Chinese movements that you get. So you have that, which gives you a lot more confidence in this watch. But I also like the grey fixed bezel. Obviously all the design cues go to Tudor and not to San Martin, but San Martin have made a really good representation of this watch, and I think they've got it at a really sweet price as well. The fact that this is under £300, this is £266 at retail. I think at the moment it might be £262 depending on the versions that you get, whether you get in the cream or the black dial, is really, really special. The other aspects of this watch that I think you need to know is that it has 100 meters of water resistance. Obviously, I've mentioned the dial diameter is 39 millimeters, which makes it wear incredibly sweet. It also has a thickness of 12.4 millimeters, which actually makes it thinner and more wearable than the Black Bay Pro that is actually out from Tudor at the moment, which is really interesting when you think about it. As I mentioned, the loom on this watch is good. It's not the best of all the loom in this pickup. That still goes to the Addiesdive, believe it or not, but you do have BGW9 blue loom on this watch, and it is pretty good. The watch has AR coating, it has sapphire crystal, like a domed sapphire crystal, and the bracelet itself is really, really nice. Now, I had some of the San Martins with the rivet style, and I found those a pain in the arse to adjust because they just weren't moving in the direction that I wanted them to. This watch, however, is really easy to adjust. It is just screw links, and it is a normal style clasp as well, with heaps of micro adjust, and it feels all solid and safe as well. I'd have no problems taking this into the water on the bracelet, thinking that, you know, it's not going to go flying off the handle or anything else. But San Martin long offer incredible value for money, and this watch is no different. So what I would say, this watch unfortunately isn't part of the super deals. It's sticking at that price of $266, but if you do have the money and you're looking for a GMT style watch, I would probably recommend that you have a look at this one on AliExpress, as well as some of the new micro brands coming out with the NH34, because San Martin really are in a league of their own when it comes to AliExpress. So that's all, folks. That's my time today. I have shown you those 4 watches. I think they're all pretty good choices. What do you guys think? Please leave that in the comments below. My favourite watch that I've picked up in this sale so far, I think you'll probably know by now, it is the San Martin, the 39mm Black Bay Pro. homage. I think this watch is really sweet, whether you get it in the cream dial or whether you get it in the black dial. I think that it is a really special watch, and I think that San Martin have really hit a home run with this one. However, the other watches that I've bought, I don't really have any particular regrets on it. If I had to rank them, it would be the San Martin, followed by the Baltany watch, and the Addiesdive, almost neck and neck really, and then at the bottom of the list it's the Pagani Design GMT. I'm not saying that you shouldn't buy that at all. In fact, I do think that it's incredible value for money, but given some of the other offerings that are available on AliExpress at the minute and what I plan on using this watch for myself, I can say with wholehearted sort of confidence that it's just not as good as some of the other watches available at the minute. But guys, what do you think? Leave it in the comments below. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. I've also got a TikTok page now as well, which I just decided to start for no apparent reason. And I've also got my eBay store and Amazon store as well, which has some great picks, especially with the holiday season coming up. So guys, great to go through this list with you. I will see you all in a future video, so please take care of yourself and tune in next time.